Hello everybody, good to see you. Thank you for watching. My name's Simon, you're watching Flight Pass, and we are flying around Belgium at the moment, and we're looking at the Battle of Waterloo, and this is the getting to the end of our playlist that we have running on the 100 days. The 100 days refers to the number of days when Napoleon takes control back on the March the 20th, 1815, to when he then abdicates again in this July time. It's actually 123 days. So we're here flying just to the east of the battlefield of Waterloo. The time we got to in the previous section was around about 3:30 in the morning, and you remember this is when two things have happened. One, Wellington has received news from Blucher that the Prussians will be coming to his aid next day, and they will be setting off in the morning and heading towards the ridge of Mont Saint Jean. And so that gives Wellington, and he knows then that he can then calculate how long that's likely to take, and he believes then that the forces that he has at Mont Saint Jean can hold out for that length of time. At the same time, Napoleon, he's receiving a message from his I suppose it's more than a corps commander. It's Marshal Grouchy. He's basically said that he's in a place over here to the southeast called Gembloux, which was just the northeast of the battlefield of Ligny. He reports basically that he's got information that there is the Prussians are pulling back towards Liège, which is great. That's great news. But he also has reports, and it's a worrying report, that there is at least a corps of Prussians that have pulled up towards the town of Wavre. And I'm just trying. We're flying over there now, and we'll try and find Wavre. We've got live weather on here at the moment. By the way, if you do have Flight Simulator, you can join me. I'm flying live. You can flash past me and do all those crazy things. I'm on the European West server. You'll find me flying around just to the north, south of Brussels. We've got live weather on. In the evening of the 17th of June, there's been a thunderstorm, there's been rain most of the night, so the rivers are swollen here, and it's difficult conditions to move your armies. Remember, these roads are, some of them a little more than dirt tracks, and a lot of the times these artillery pieces have to keep to the roads. Around about 4 o'clock in the morning, we get the news that the Prussians start to break camp, and the plan is that the 4th Corps, under a guy called Count Boulou, he will be the vanguard of the Prussian advance. So he was in a position just to the southeast of Wavre. We can see Wavre's here, where the white dot is now, and he's actually down here in this area, and he's in a place called Dion-le Mont. Now, whether we'll be able to see that on these tags, I'm not sure. Let me just pause and grab the map. So he is this place here, Dion-le-Mont. And so he's going to have to come. He's going to have to go through Wavre and then cross the river here to get to the and then move down, and we go when he'll come across a place called Lasne or Chapelle Saint-Lambert, and so he's going to come through here. So there's going to be a lot of jiggling of troops on the Prussian side of things. And the reason why they're sending him across, it seems a bit counterintuitive to do that, but basically the first corps of Zieten and the second corps of Perch have been in the battle of Ligny and have suffered quite a lot of consequences, and they need to rest. Bulu's men have been marching a long way. They've come all the way across from Maastricht and Liège and didn't quite make it to Ligny. So they're the freshest troops in terms of not having fought so far. I can't see where this Dion-le-Mont is, but it's in this area around here somewhere. So let's head back towards Wavre. So we've got the clock is racing at the moment. The Napoleon needs to win this battle as quickly as possible, and the Prussians need to get there as it's a race of reinforcements, and Napoleon needs to defeat Wellington as soon as he can. And so the first problem, of course, comes that this corps has got to move through Wavre. The rivers are running high, the bridges are really important. And so the bridge here at Wavre becomes a bottleneck immediately. Then on the other side of the bridge, you then have the town itself. These are narrow streets. Many of the roads are unkept. And then he'll move then through Bierge and a place called Rixensart. We'll see if we can find that. There's Rixensart, I think. Just there. So he's coming across and we should see a river. Let's pause here, jump out. Might be easier to spot. This is the river, I think it's called Dial Deedle. I can't see any river at all here. That's weird. But you can see the narrowness of the streets. If you go to the center here, presumably there it is. There's the river there. Just make it out. These narrow streets. So you've got to get a corps of Prussian infantry, cavalry, and artillery through this place. Now on the other side, out here, is where Perch is. I think Thielmans is in this area as well, and Zieten is here at this place called Bierge. So Bulu's got to come through this, through all his people, and he'll then move off in this direction. I think it's to a place called Rixensart. Is that how you pronounce that? And then down towards this place called Chapelle Saint-Lambert. And then you can see then the battlefield just on the horizon there. So the distance here, we're talking probably around about 25 kilometers in total. From where the Bulu was, which I think it's in this area down here, is where he gets to on the 17th. I think it's this place here, actually. So imagine then, you see, you've got 25 kilometers, that distance, which we could just flown there on the drone, to get to a battlefield to then have a battle. I mean, it's you know, it's quite crazy. So on paper, the two corps that Blucher is going to send is, in number terms, almost the equivalent of Wellington's army itself. He's going to support with 3, but the Bulu and Perch, well, the first 2 corps that are going to arrive, they're almost numbering the same amount of troops that Wellington's got there, so you can see the significance about this support. And Bulu's corps, as I say, hasn't been involved in the battle at Ligny, and was sent through to get to the front. When we get to Wavre, there's another delay. The bridge, I think we saw it just now. This caused a bottleneck, and there's a fire breaks out. By the side of the road. And of course, this means you know, if you've got ammunition, gunpowder, you know, this is a massive problem, and so that causes another delay, an unintended delay. So Buller's corps will pass through here. It's believed that his rear guard exits Wavre from around about 10 o'clock in the morning, and they will be followed by the 1st and the 2nd Corps. In normal conditions, the distances we're talking about, for example, yeah, say the 25 kilometers. In normal conditions, dry conditions, with organized troops, they would probably be expected to cover this distance in around about 6 hours. So if you say, okay, they're leaving here around about 10 o'clock, then you can understand then that Wellington would be expecting to see the troops arrive on the battlefield at Waterloo at around about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Of course, the urgency of the situation is probably going to mean that they're going to push the troops harder than normal, but the conditions are going to delay them. And in fact, well, Bulu's corps takes around about 11 hours to get his men across to the battlefield and get organized. Bulu set off early in the morning, and he actually, because he wanted his his wagons to be the minimum possible, so that it doesn't clog up the roads, because he's going ahead, so he doesn't need to have a supply wagon train behind him, because that's just going to delay the other corps. Now the problem is that he sets off, and actually what he does is that these guys have set off to do this without having cooked a meal beforehand. They were tried to grab bites to eat and stuff like that during the course of the day during any delays. We talk about Bulu's rear guard pulling away, eventually getting moving in around about 10 o'clock in the morning, and they are pressed by Exelmann's vanguard. They're coming up the road from Gembloux, and this forces the Bulu to have to leave behind 2 regiments of cavalry, and they're going to be acting as a rear guard, protecting the column from the French threat from the south. Why does Bulu cross the river here? If we look at the map, the most direct route for him would have been to actually cross over this way down towards Louvain and then across from that way. Why does he come up here and go across from Wavre? Well, he wants to put the river between him and the French for one part. The French are going to be coming up this road from Gembloux. He doesn't want to cross east to west with across an advancing chasing enemy, so he wants to get to Wavre, then move west. Thielmann's corps, which is to the north of Wavre, will then move in and block the advancing French. And there's a whole battle that happens here on the same day, and we will talk about that, but we'll do that probably afterwards. Night vision. Wrong button. So that's the beginning then of the Prussian move. What's happening back at Waterloo? Let's head that way. The British Army had a thing which was called a routine drill, and it was basically at first light they would stand to, and they waited until it was first light, just to ensure that there wasn't going to be a dawn attack. And when they were satisfied that that wasn't going to happen, then they would then the order was passed then to stand down, and that's when they would then do muster reports, and the armourers would start doling out ammunition, and instructions for things like sharpening swords and surfacing weapons would start to occur. So this is around about 5 o'clock in the morning when this is beginning. The crops are cut down to give the horses food, and we're talking on the battlefield site itself. There's around about 80,000 troops who are all trying to supply themselves, feed themselves. Just a quick note as well, the 80,000 troops on the battlefield. Wellington had a further contingent of troops over here in a place called Hull, and it was on the so Tabriz here and Hull in this area here. Was a significant amount of troops. I think something in the region of 10,000 troops were over there. And this shows you that Wellington was still paranoid about his right flank. The last thing he wanted at this point was to be outflanked on his right, Napoleon's left, because that would force him probably away from Brussels to the east, and eventually, as you can see, it might push him away from Antwerp itself. He's got two supply lines, Wellington. One of them is this long line that goes towards Ghent and then off to Ostend. And remember, Ghent is where the royal family, the French royal family, are. And that's one that goes to the port of Ostend, and then the other one is towards the port of Antwerp. So the last thing he needs is to be outflanked on the right, on his right. And so he has a significant force here at Hale and Tabriz, which will play no part at all in this battle, the Battle of Waterloo. But it just goes to show you what his thinking was still at this point. Right, we're going to pop over to back to the battlefield. We'll see what's going on there. We just had a look. This is the route, by the way, that the Prussians will have to take today. And by flying in the helicopter, it shows you the distances involved and gives you an idea of the effort that was needed to get 3 corps of your army across. Here, these were difficult roads at the time. Wasn't there was trees, woods. They had a number of farmers and locals who would guide them through this area. You can see how sort of complicated and how easy it is to get lost in this area. And they would come through from this place here. And I believe this is called, when I mentioned the Paris Wood, this is the sort of wooded area that we're talking about. And this is one of the significant areas where probably Napoleon could have delayed the Prussians a lot more if they commanded these heights just here where the white dot is, to prevent the Prussians from coming up onto the sort of the plateau. You get an idea here as well, if we just dive down a little bit, you get an idea of what they mean by the ridge at Mont Saint-Jean. If you're down here in these trees, you can sort of see that there is a high ground up here. You can see that that is a kind of a relative ridge over to the right, and this is the sort of area that the Prussians would come up from and pop onto this plateau. Presumably we come up this way, steep muddy mud chutes, struggling to get your artillery up. You can hear the battle happening. There's calls from Wellington to come to me on the ridge up here on the right, or do you just move up onto the plateau itself and attack the French on their right flank? You get a real sense there, look, of the ridge. You also get a sense that, there's not much you would be able to see if you were there on the right. But this is where we come out, and we now pop out into this plain, this plateau. And this is where the Prussians would pour out of this wood, and this is where there's a mistake that Napoleon makes in that they don't have a significant force over here, and this then pushes allows the Prussians to come out onto the French right flank. Once you're here, this is probably more likely to be seen, linking up with the British on your right hand side, pouring forth into this area here. Alright, how are we doing? That's 2.5 hours of streaming and flying live, and so we've got now to sort of dawn of the 18th of June. I think I'm going to finish here. We just come onto the battlefield again. You can see that this is La Belle Alliance just below us, and I think what we'll do, we'll call it a day at this point. Tomorrow we'll start again. I'll try to get more regular on my times, so we'll be around about midday usually, UK time, and you can join me, and we'll start off. We'll start talking about the dispositions of Wellington's armies, and we'll keep an eye on the progress of the Prussians as they're coming along, and see what times Napoleon and Wellington are aware of the threat from the east. Right, I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you appreciate why I do it this way. If you liked it, then please get a like, subscribe, do all those lovely things that help with the algorithm. Very young channel, just been going a few months. So all the love is appreciated. I will do this anyway because I love it, but it's really nice to see some people actually pressing that subscribe button. I will be back live then tomorrow, and if you're watching on YouTube, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching. Aurel I hope that's how you say it. RL42, good to see you. Thank you. Guy at the back, as usual. Lovely. Thanks for your input today. And hopefully I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.